Hello everyone, welcome to your weekly tech update, the show that explores the newest, coolest, and most mind-boggling side of tech available on the interwebs. I am your tech guru, Ray McNeil. Coming up on the program today, at Expo 2025, Osaka Kansai seeks to usher in the era of the flying car. A Quantum Leap sequel series gets a pilot order over at NBC. Happening in this week's What The, it's the coolest Christmas-themed Coke bottle you will ever see. And of course, we'll wrap up the program with this week's Moment of Joy. All that and a whole lot more coming up on today's edition of your weekly tech update. Next. Japan was a latecomer in starting the development of advanced air mobility, and it is still tackling the challenges of establishing safety standards and gaining public understanding. However, in preparation for Expo 2025 Osaka Kansai, demonstration experiments are being conducted one after another to make flying cars, quote, a reality. Indeed, they are a centerpiece of the event. Certainly, there are several hurdles to overcome in realizing this type of urban air mobility, such as aircraft development, support infrastructure, establishing of safety standards, and that whole fostering the understanding of its citizens thing they were talking about. Currently, manufacturers in Europe, the US, and China are well ahead in the development and commercialization of this technology. However, all eyes will be on Japan to see whether the Expo, which is also known as an experimental site for future society, can catapult Japan back into the competition. In November of 2021, ANA Holdings, in association with Oryx and others, held an experimental event using helicopters as practical substitutes for flying cars. The event was to compare the travel time of flying versus driving, calculate noise emitted by the aircraft, and find suitable locations for landing and takeoff within the city. Flying cars are mainly electric vertical takeoff aircraft that can also be operated automatically. They are being developed in various countries as a next-generation means of transportation. Travel time can be significantly reduced compared to cars and trains, and they are expected to be useful for access from metropolitan centers to remote islands and mountainous areas. In order to introduce this type of new aircraft in an urban environment, it's necessary to prove that it's safe. The government, with the help of Public-Private Council, is currently considering how to design these qualifications. There are also infrastructure hurdles. Vertical takeoff and landing requires dedicated space, which is challenging to secure in these major metropolitan areas. ANA Holdings was able to use a helicopter pad on top of a high-rise building for their experiments, but that too required permission from the government. The understanding of residents is also essential. In a survey carried out by Mitsubishi Research Institute in August of 2020, only 1/3 of the 65,000 respondents had ever heard of flying cars. Asked about flying over a residential area, 31% of them thought that it was acceptable if it was an emergency anyway, but otherwise, well, we're kind of cautious about the subject. Whether the public is ready or not, the development of technology for flying cars is in full swing domestically and internationally. According to local reports in the U.S., a venture-backed aerospace company, Joby Aviations, in which Toyota Motor Corporation and Intel are invested, is proceeding with its application for FAA certification, and it looks to begin service in 2023 if all goes well. NASA carried out a flight test using their aircraft back in September as well. The following month, in October, German aircraft manufacturer Volocopter announced plans for a public test flight in Japan in 2023. They too are expected to fly at the Osaka Expo. German company Lilium expects to start flight services in the state of Florida in 2023, and Chinese company EHang Beijing has obtained approval to carry out test flights in Canada. I'll do my best with this one. The Wuling Hongguang Mini EV closed the year 2021 on a high note in China as the absolute best-selling electric vehicle, period, far above the number 2 Tesla Model Y, which topped the electric crossover SUV category, by the way. According to the China Passenger Car Association's data, in December, 50,561 Wuling Hongguang Mini EVs were sold. That is up 42% year over year, which is an all-time monthly record. As far as we know, no other electric vehicle ever crossed 50,000 in a single month. The Tesla Model Y set in December its own record of 40,500, but it's still 10,000 less. The Tesla Model 3's record, also set in December, is 30,102. In 2021, the total number of Wuling Hongguang Mini EVs sold in China amounted to 395,451. That is up 250% year over year. It means that more than 500 units have been sold in China since July of 2020. Some will say that the Wuling Hongguang Mini EV is a mini car, not really fully comparable with standard cars, but it's allowed for public roads, and this is what the market wants. If you're wondering about the specs on this thing, it's actually pretty impressive. There's a 2-battery range option, one that gives you 75 miles, the other one that gets you 106 miles. It has a top speed of 62 miles per hour, but the electric motor is only 20 kilowatts at peak power. You get 4 seats, 741 liters of space with the rear seats folded down, they say, and it's a pretty small vehicle. There are some upgraded versions expected to be launched in the near future that will give you over 186 miles of range. That's over 300 kilometers. They will have a 26 kilowatt hour battery instead of a 9.3 kilowatt hour, and it will have a 30 kilowatt electric motor instead of the current 20 kilowatt hour. It will come with a higher price that will be released later on in the future. They are saying, though, it will at least be partially offset by incentives. Oh, thanks to technology and all of these awesome satellites that we have up in orbit, we were able to see a very, very rare undersea volcanic eruption near Tonga. It set off a tsunami warning affecting parts of eastern Australia, near where I live, and all of the western U.S. as well. The warning was issued on Sunday, January 16th by the Bureau of Meteorology here in Australia, but was canceled shortly thereafter. They said the marine threat for certain areas remained dangerous. You had to watch out for waves, riptides, and strong ocean current in the marine environment. But at least here in Australia and the western U.S., the waves weren't high enough to damage any land. Now, some of the islands close by the eruption did not get so lucky. The wave did overtake quite a bit of some of these islands. You can catch videos of those on the web. But as far as the satellite vision of what happened, it is absolutely incredible. While I'm speaking a little bit about Australia, you got to go over to the NewYorkTimes.com. They just put out a story here not too long ago called The 52 Places for a Changed World. The subtitle is The 2022 List Highlights Places Around the Globe Where Travelers Can Be Part of the Solution. And if you scroll on down, you're going to come to something called the Summerland Peninsula, Australia. That's where I am currently. It talks about Phillip Island and the Penguin Parade. It has a little video of the penguins on the main page. You can click show text on the right-hand side for more information about the area and some of the cool things that are going on here. And definitely a place to check out if you're looking for a vacation overseas.